Testing, testing. No. Testing, testing.
Okay, I got you.
This mic doesn't work for some reason. Testing, testing. I don't know. Huh?
Is there anyone here for the Green Meadows petition? Okay, good. Is there anyone here for the Green Meadows petition?
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. So we have quite a few people trying to enter the chambers, and so we would ask that you make room, move over a little bit for us. In addition to that, is anyone here for the Green Meadows application? If you are, please raise your hand. Okay, because the Green Meadows application has been postponed. All right. We're going to wait a few more minutes because we've got word that we've got quite a few people still trying to get through the metal detectors downstairs.
That's why Marshall admitted in here.
Marshall could let them know downstairs if they're here for Green Meadows, they don't need to come up. Amber, you ready?
You're going to do the movement statement, and then the people who are we're going to go in the regular order.
I call the April Augusta Planning Commission meeting to order. And if you ladies and gentlemen coming in the back would be quiet as you can, because we have more people coming up behind you. And Amber, if you're ready.
Gotta do a microphone check. Check one. Okay, great.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. And thank you all again for attending the Augusta Planning Commission today. The Augusta Planning Commission is a recommending body. The final decision on all zoning matters coming before it will be made by the Augusta Commission on Tuesday, April the 16th, 2024 at 2 p.m. in the Augusta Commission chambers at the Municipal Building. The Planning Commission makes the final decisions on all variances, including subdivision regulations. A handout describing the zoning procedures for which these cases are decided is available upon request. These procedures also require that any applicant for a rezoning action or any opponent to an application for a rezoning action who has made contributions aggregating $250 or more to a local government official within 2 years of the rezoning application to file a disclosure report within the governing authority. The disclosure report must be filed within 10 calendar days of filing the application and at least 10 calendar days prior to today's hearing. A minimum of 10 minutes shall be afforded for the presentation of data, evidence, and opinions on each side of a rezoning petition or a special exception. If more than 10 minutes is afforded to one side, then the equal amount of time shall be afforded to the other side. The commission does encourage its participation in this hearing, and there is no restriction on who may address the commission within the allotted time. But the commission asks that all public comments be brief, on subject and non-repetitive, and directed to the commission, not to any individual or group.
Thank you, Amber. Director Faney, if you're ready.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to amend the agenda.
Okay, I'll make it.
Items 9, 10, and 11 be made in items 1, 2, and 3.
I second.
We have a motion to amend the agenda and a second.
That was to move Z 2418, special exception. Let's do it. Record hearing 24/7 to the beginning of the agenda. All in favor of the motion to approve, say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no. Okay.
All right.
So we'll start.
Good afternoon. Chairman Pittman, I just wanted to make sure that we could make the official announcement that item number 3, Z-24-13, which is a petition for the Green Meadows golf course rezoning, that it has been withdrawn or postponed at this point without prejudice. They did provide the adequate notification to come off of today's agenda. Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right. So item number 9, if you're looking at your agenda, item number 9, Z-24-18, it is a petition by Joe Gamble on behalf of Bridge Builder Communities requesting a rezoning from R1C, single-family residential, to R1E, one-family residential, affecting property containing approximately 3.08 acres located at 1140 Mary Street. Staff will present at this time.
Hello, everybody. Oops, sorry.
Staff first, it's staff.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
All right. Sorry, switching up on me. Good afternoon. I'm Ashley Catterton. I'm the Development Services Administrator for the Planning and Development Department, and I will be presenting the next 3 items on the agenda. So we will start with the rezoning, so Z-2418, and this is a petition seeking to rezone 3.08 acres. The property is currently vacant, and it was acquired from the Augusta, Georgia Land Bank Authority in February of 2024. And the request is to change the zoning from R1C, one family residential, to R1E. And this would allow for a tiny home community upon approval of a special exception. The conceptual site plan submitted with this application proposes to construct a total of 25 tiny homes, in which the first phase will consist of developing only 10 tiny homes, as well as a community building. The overall project aims to assist young adults aging out of the foster care system to reach their full potential by providing a safe, affordable housing opportunity and life skills training. And moving on, so for this petition, Section 26(1)V of the Comprehensive Zoning Ordinance allows for tiny home communities in R1E zones with the approval of a special exception. The applicant is also seeking a parking variance to reduce the total number of required parking spaces for the tiny home community from 50 to 23 spaces. Also submitted with this application was a conceptual site plan and exterior renderings, which, let's see, is this? Yep. and I have it up on the screen at the moment. So the 25-unit tiny home development and community building will be comprised of stick-built constructed buildings, and several different exterior elevations will be used in the community. Each will be residential in style to blend with the surrounding neighborhood. And I will go more into detail with the special exception on that. The proposed tiny homes will measure 320 square feet, which satisfies the size requirements of 400 square feet or less. Each dwelling unit is limited to 1.5 stories in height, and all buildings shall be single story and under 45 feet. The proposal has an overall density of 8.3 units per acre, which satisfies the 10 units per acre maximum density requirement permitted in the R1E zone. The proposed development has a 20-foot front setback, which satisfies the R1E 15-foot minimum setback requirements stated in Section 88A and Section 26 of the Comprehensive Zoning Ordinance. The proposed development maintains 15-foot side setbacks, which satisfies the R1E 5-foot setback requirements stated in Section 12 and Section 26 of the Comprehensive Zoning Ordinance. The proposed development has a 25-foot rear setback, which also satisfies the R1E 20% of lot depth or 25 feet setback requirements stated in Section 12, and satisfies the 20-foot setback requirements stated in Section 26 of the Comprehensive Zoning Ordinance. The tiny homes will be developed in pods of 5, as you can see on this screen, and each of these houses will be facing each other, creating individual villages within the overall community. Only one resident is allowed per tiny home. 2 of the tiny houses are ADA compliant, and all tiny houses shall be provided with ADA accessible sidewalks. A minimum of 1/2 acre or 20% of the property shall be dedicated to common and open recreational space, and hereafter referred to as village green. The village green may include landscaping, active and passive recreational facilities, water features, and any of the other natural areas. The village green shall be centrally located within the proposed development and accessible by all of the residents or tenants. And a recreation area on site forms the main portion of the village green. The owner of this project is Bridge Builder Communities, a Georgia 501c3 organization. The owner shall own and maintain Village Green. However, quarterly maintenance opportunities will be held for the residents to participate in. The entrance to the parking lot shall have a permanent paved access to Mary Street, which is identified as a local road. There is public water and sewer that are present in the area. This property is not within a flood zone. There are no wetlands on the subject property. This proposal is consistent with the aspects of the 2023 comprehensive plan and compatible with the surrounding zoning and land uses. And at the time of completion of this report, staff has received inquiries regarding this application. And that concludes staff presentation at this time.
Thank you, Ashley.
Yeah.
Is the petitioner present? Sir, if you'd come up to the microphone and give us your name and address and a brief overview of your project.
My name is Joe Gamble. I live at 1059 Westo Street. I am the chairman of the board for Bridge Builder Communities and also an architect with McMillan Pasden Smith. Today I'm representing Dr. Jackson Drumgoole and his wife, our executive director, also representing our board, Penny Wasden, who's a business banker with First Citizens, Vicki Pruitt with Augusta Partnership for Children, J.R. Richards, CEO of Medical Associates Plus, Luke Naday, outreach pastor at First Presbyterian Church, Judge Shanette Lewis, a juvenile court justice here in town, Dr. Jermaine Worrell, one of our advisory board members, and various donors and community partners, many of which are in the room and can answer a lot of the questions that you have. We are desiring to build a tiny home community for 18 to 25-year-old youths that are aging out of the foster care system. We are essentially addressing housing insecurities inside this demographic. There are some renderings that will show this is a high-quality project with a variety in design. They're architecturally designed. They have sloped roofs. They have shingle roofs, architectural shingle roofs. They have metal roofs. They have either high-quality vinyl or some cement fiber siding. They are stick-built on slabs. When you talk about tiny homes, it means different things to different people. If you go on HGTV, it might mean a camper type of environment that you have to flip the dining room table down to make a bed. That is not what we're talking about here. We are also not building these on skids that can be moved in and moved out. We will pour a concrete slab, and these will be built in place on concrete slabs. Wanted to make a point that we are not duplicating services. People have heard about the foster care system. There are some great partners out there that are doing great works in foster care. Those services generally end when they're 18. To say that this group that we're talking about, 18 to 25-year-olds, is underserved, they really are not underserved, they're unserved. There are very few places across the country that are doing this. We're modeling this particular project after a group in Oklahoma City that's doing it very, very well. The name of that group is called Pivot, P-I-V-O-T. If you want to look them up, pivot.com. It's a 50-year organization that has dealt in the foster care arena, and most recently they're building up to 85 tiny houses on their particular campus. Also on our campus, we have a community building, a little bit of administrative space, some space for us to train our residents in a variety of things, fiscal responsibility, cooking classes, as you know, different things come up. There is a manager's cottage on campus, and I want you to think about this kind of like a dormitory type situation that you'd have an RA. We have somebody on site that lives in the manager's cottage, and they live there 24 hours a day. So if something happens in the evening, there is somebody there on site. We also have staff that's going to come in and administer programs. Those would be more of a 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. thing, but our manager is there 24/7. We also are providing security on site. We have Pollock office equipment is come in, and they're providing a lot of infrastructure and equipment for us to provide a secure environment for our partners here. We also have another partner who is right there ready to sign on the dotted line, and if I told you who they were, you'd instantly know it as one of Augusta's security professionals, and they will provide manpower to provide that 24-hour security. Our campus is going to be ADA compliant. There will be several cottages that will be, completely compliant, as well as all the pathways in and around our campus. Our residents, this is not a freebie for them. They must be full-time students or full-time employed or a combination of both. They have to apply to be here on site. We're taking applications generally through the school systems. We've already made contact. They're great partners of ours right now. We've also through the social services networks that are already in place for foster care. We'll be getting these students as well. In terms of rules, yes, we have rules. We want to make sure that safety is our number one concern. We want to make sure that we have safe environments. There's a couple of things that they can't do that really sort of, go beyond that. Married people, that's not really in our genre right now. If somebody has a young child, we're not the right facility. We're talking about individuals, one person per apartment. When they come in, we work with them to come up with an independent living program. And what we want to do is meet their goals. If a person wants to stay from age 18 to 25, that is fine with us. That is allowable. When we talk to our Pivot colleagues, they're telling us that about 18 months is the normal stay. That generally, when these residents come in, they have worked with us, and they feel like they have advanced, met enough of their goals that they are ready to go out and live on their own in the real world. I want to point out that when they move in, they move into a furnished apartment. This is everything from, the bed, the TV, the furniture, but it also comes down to the forks, the knives, the washcloths. When these youths graduate our system, they take everything in that unit with them to start a new life independent of bridge builders. There's always callback services if they need, but when they take the goods that are inside that unit, we will refit those, before we have a new tenant move in. Let me tell you what this is not, because I think that this is really important. This is not a transition home. This is not a recovery center. It's not a halfway house. It's not a home for troubled youths. It's not a place for wayward youths. These are generally people that have been removed from their parents through no fault of their own. Unfortunately, their parents proved to the state that they were incapable of providing traditional, normal parenting skills. Our project is going to represent a $3 million investment in this community, and I think it goes, we should also note that we are self-sustaining once we are operational. So we have three things to come before you today. One is a change from R1C to R1E. We hope that this is an easy lift for you. All this stays within single family. R1E has a maximum height of 1.5 stories. All of our buildings are 1 story, so we're going to definitely be underneath that. It's very important to us to maintain a residential feel on our campus. I'd like to point out that we have a building density of 6%. If you add up all of the square footage of the buildings that we are constructing, we are only using 6% of our land to house those buildings. Number two thing to come before you is a special exemption for tiny house. We meet the requirements. Ashley mentioned it's pretty clear. We do have a village green concept. 320 square feet is the size for each tiny house. Let me give you a little reference on that. That's 16 feet by 20 feet. I dare say that it's great for a youth at this particular point in their life. We probably all would have a little bit of a hard time living in 16 by 20. It's sort of, think of it as the size of maybe a 1.5 car garage. I'm not saying that we have garages. I'm saying that it's about the size of a 1.5 car garage. It's an efficiency apartment. It has a full bathroom in it. It has opportunities for sleeping, for dining, for relaxing, TV watching, things like that. I mentioned that there was 1 resident per house. Also wanted to mention our population density. Again, it's really important to us that we maintain a residential character in what we're doing. If you look at the other lots that are around us, they generally average about 0.2 of an acre each. And if you kind of calculate and say there's probably 4 people on average living in each one of those houses, what that comes out to, the math comes out to 20 people per acre. We have 8 people per acre. Okay, so we are not using the land for massive buildings. They're all residential feel, high quality, single story, and we have a much less population density than the surrounding neighborhood is going to have. Lastly, to come before you is a parking variance. The requirements called for 50. We asked for 23. The staff has come back and said, how about 28? Let me tell you our goal here. We will do whatever you tell us to do. If you want 50, we'll make 50. However, our youths don't have cars. This is one of their goals. We're going to help them get cars. But generally, on average, I'm going to go back to my pivot partners here, about 3 out of 10 people have a car. What we don't want to do is create a big sea of parking that goes unused that gives us the impression that we are less than a residential area. And so we've asked for a reduction just because our people don't have cars. If they all had cars, we'd be on board. Again, we'll do whatever it is that you'd like us to do. So how are they going to get around? Bus line is in walkable distance. We have rideshare partners that are going to help transport kids. One of our big transportation issues is out to Augusta Tech. There's free education for this demographic at Augusta Tech. The bus line will take them there. A rideshare will take them there as well. Thank you for your attention. We can go miles wide and miles deep, but questions?
Carla, he spoke to all three issues. I'm not going to bring him back again, okay?
We will have to take a vote on each issue separately.
Right.
But yes, sir.
Did you understand what I said, sir?
Yes.
You spoke to all three petitions.
I did.
Okay, so great. Is there anyone present who's opposed to this petition?
If you're opposed to the petition, please have your hands up so that you can be counted.
What's the relation to it? Yeah, that's right, just, yeah.
Do we see people rise if you live in the neighborhood or close to the neighborhood? Thank you. Planning commissioners, do you have a question?
Mr. Chairman, I would also like to see who is in support of this petition.
Okay. Mr. Smith?
Mr. Gambrill, in your layout, I'm just looking at a couple things that are public safety concern to me. The depth of the lot from Mary Street to the back appears to be 290 feet, which is basically 100 yards of football field, if I'm correct. Would you consider moving your ADA homes closer to the front? Because when public safety ambulances, people of that nature arrive, that's a long way for them to have to traverse back to the back part where you currently have them.
We welcome that change.
That was my only concern, is there's not a way to get an ambulance to the very back by this drawing. So if you had some emergency back there with somebody that was an ADA candidate, I would just be concerned about the response time.
Thank you for saying that. And of course, we know that we will be working with the building official department and engineering to finalize this as we move forward.
And if you can involve the fire department with that, because it's rather deep, and I just want them to be able to have quick access to this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Those who are opposed, have you delegated a spokesman? And you are the only spokesman? Sir, if you give us your name and address, please, for the
Yes,
record.
my name is Michael Thurman. 1913 Wrightsboro Road is where I live, which is about 4 blocks from that site. And then I own 30-plus rental units within 1 block of that site.
And do you intend to speak to all three petitions or a particular petition?
Two of the three. the parking and then the site itself.
Okay, go ahead.
And one thing I'd like to ask before I do this is, of all the people who stood up in favor, how many actually live in that neighborhood? In favor.
You don't have the authority to ask that question. You do not have the authority to ask that question. You don't have the authority to ask that question.
No.
To be fair, would someone up there ask for that information, please? Because you asked for one, but you didn't for the other.
Ask him to move forward with his comments.
Would that be allowed?
No?
No.
Sir, if you'll go ahead with your comments.
Okay, yes, sir. So I disagree with the person who spoke earlier because he's saying it's not a transition center. The word transition was mentioned many times while he was speaking. He also is talking about security and so forth. So troubled youth will be there, or you would not need security and all the other things that they said. Green Meadows did not need a center, did not want a center in their neighborhood.
Sir,
I'm sorry.
if you'll address your comments to the commission, not to the audience for us.
I am. My apologies. Mr. Commissioners, I'm here to speak about this petition and to disagree with the person previously. You heard that part. But a few years ago, you voted against Green Meadows because they didn't want a similar place built in their neighborhood, but the place was already built and designed for that use. The current site is a park.
I'm sorry, but that was a totally different project.
I was given an example. Okay. You're going to be tight with this. All right. Yes, sir. The current site is a park, and allowing this to be built will destroy the park and made it impossible to find a place close to these people so you can walk with your kids, your pets, or your parents, or a green space to enjoy what nature has provided for us. They'll have to load up and go to Pendleton King Park for as long as that remains usable to us, and that land isn't even owned by the city, but an entity that leases the land to the city. We do not need to sell city parks. The city placed a ban on selling parks 5 years ago, but somehow that was allowed to happen on contingent that the money be raised and the building be built. So let's make this clear. If this doesn't happen, the land goes back to the city and our park remains in the neighborhood for the neighbors to use. I've spoken to many people who played ball in that park as a child, many who even currently still walk their dogs or take their kids out there to enjoy the little bit of green space that we have left. We all know that Parks and Recreation Department has failed the city miserably over the last 10 years, but those failures can be corrected if we still own the land. You can fail or reject, deny this petition on just the merit of non-conforming because they are supposed to have 50 parking spaces, but only have 20. I know many projects that were denied that were much closer to the city requirements of 2 per unit. You can deny this because the smaller units in density will destroy the values of the homes around the park. A tiny home transition center will bring the property values down in the neighborhood. And it's not just the fact that it's a gated or secured facility, but also that the houses in the neighborhood, which range from 900 to 2,700 square feet, but these are only 320 square feet. You'll be told the children need this transition center, and they do. But there's no magic in this soil. It's not a special reason it has to be built here. It's just the first place they're trying to use. The attention this brings will assist them in finding more funding and better situated parcels that are closer to the bus line, have sidewalks, and perhaps a grocery store that this park does not have. The new place perhaps will not take away from the community as wanting to become a neighbor of, but help build it up. Laney Walker slated for a new grocery store, lots of empty lots and sidewalks there. Sand Hills has many parcels ripe for this type of development that the land bank owns and can give to them just like they gave, not sold, this parcel to them. And they even have a school, the Weed School, that could easily be fitted to house these children and more. This building is already there and will not bring values down. Let's not forget Green Meadows and the building. There's already rooms, already has rooms, kitchens, bathrooms, and et cetera, that they didn't want the other center to go in, that this could very easily be put in at a much cheaper cost and be able to help a lot more children. But to remove a park that has served many thousands over many years and bring housing values down for the hundreds of people around and place a transition center inside of a neighborhood is just short-sighted. Let's do it for the kids. What about the kids and adults that live in that community whose housing values will go down and whose access to green space all but disappears with this happening? I really would hope that you will consider. I have 40 other signatures on this petition and many, many more that want to stop this. It doesn't belong in a neighborhood. It is a great idea, but bus lines are 4 and 5 blocks away in either direction with no sidewalks. The parking is if you allow this minimal parking, you'll have people parking on the street. Plus, there's 4 full-time people working there. They have to have a place to park. So this is just, it's a great idea, and we all feel for these children, but not in the middle of an established neighborhood that has fought hard to bring itself up. You will find no dilapidated homes, no boarded up anything over there. The neighborhood's come a long way. So please stop this from being built here, but as a community, let's all get together and build it somewhere. Thank you.
Amber, I'd like to get that petition and put it in the record. Any further questions from the commission?
Sorry. Do you have any questions of me? I'm sorry, I've walked away.
No, you're fine.
I do have a question, in all fairness to both sides. Of the people that are for this petition, who lives in the neighborhood? Because I feel we need to know that. Thank you. If you could raise your hand, who lives in the neighborhood that is for the petition. For the, they just.
That you want it to be built. That's what they're saying. You want it to be built.
I want it to be built. And I live across the street from it.
Thank you.
I walk my dogs in it every day.
You won't be able to anymore.
Sorry.
Would you like to know any? You have the staff recommendation? I think we've heard enough from them, but
Okay.
are there any supporters who wish to speak? Are you going to speak to the petition? Well, we have such a long agenda.
Yeah.
We do have to, we should afford the supporters the same opportunity as the opposition,
I
sir.
understand. I understand.
Sir, I do live in the neighborhood, and I don't have a lot of experience in this kind of situation. I was on my way to a workout. I'm not really dressed for it, but I have a question.
I'm going to need your name and address before you ask the question for the record.
And anyone who wants to speak, if the chairman acknowledges you, please come to the mic, lean in a little bit, and give your name and your home address, please. Thank you.
My first name is Lucia, Lucia, and my last name is Barbera, Barbera. My address is 1139, one-digit difference from this park. Just like Donna from West Virginia, I also live directly across the street from this piece of land. And I'm wondering why Bridge Builders has not considered building this closer to the technical college, because I understand what they're trying to do, and I think it's a good thing too. Just like Mr. Thurman mentioned, we think it's a good idea, but there is a piece of land over near the technical college that Mr. Matt Aiken refers to as the convent. That would be a perfect space for Bridge Builders to do this in, closer to the technical college, near where these kids are trying to go every day. Why not consider that as an option?
Thank you.
Yeah, that's right. I got a comment. Well, first let me see, is he a supporter?
This could go on all day. Go ahead, sir. Please.
Ben Estes.
You got 2 minutes.
2 minutes, okay. 1803 McDowell Street. Now, I work nights, so you have to forgive me if I'm a little off balance here. I support a single child on my own. The area is not a safe area, especially for adults, young adults. There was shooting basically a half a block away.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman. Excuse me, sir. Mr. Chairman, I thought we were trying to hear from people that were in support of the petition.
That's the problem when you, never mind. No.
We're not trying to hear from people that we just heard from the gentleman. He represented the people that were not for the
You only get one.
petition. Well, now we're trying to hear from people
Can I
that
have
support.
30 seconds. I have one more comment. I know I don't want to waste y'all's time, but I would think the city would have a huge legal liability. What happens if one of these kids gets killed? I mean, seriously, have y'all even considered that? I don't know. I would talk to your attorney because it's not a safe area. And I don't think it's fair. It's biased from the beginning. You're biased from the beginning. And it's just not fair. And y'all know you were when you took the council to supporting and against. If it's biased, why even have the whole appointment to begin with? You know it was biased because you had different sets of standards.
Sir, if you're finished, we need to move on.
Okay, I'm done.
See, that's the problem when you open it up like this.
Is there anybody that support? Anybody? Hello, everyone. Can you hear me? I'm in support of this.
Name and address.
Oh, okay. Doesn't seem like you can hear me. My name is Patricia Jeter, and I live at 4102 Elders Drive. I do not live in the community, and I do understand the concerns of the residents, because even in my community, we have some of the same concerns as far as what type of industry is built in our community. However, to just say, hey, I don't want it, I do think that these children need this type of facility. And that's maybe perhaps some concessions can be made to make it, as the gentleman was just saying, a safer environment for this type of organization or establishment. To my understanding, it's not a transition center. It's a place for children who are leaving foster care to be able to thrive between the ages of 18 and 25. And I am taking under considerations both sides, but to just push it, it's, I hate to say it this way, but it seems like the recommendations as to where they're recommending that they, bridge builders put this type of organization is based on color barriers. It's based on, like, say, for instance, I don't want it here, but put it on Deansbridge Road. I don't want it here, but put it over there. It needs to go somewhere, and I believe some concessions can be made to make it a safe environment for these children to thrive. As far as the property values going down, are these going to be, they're tiny homes, so they will accrue value as well. They're not apartments. So yeah, I am in favor of this petition for what it will accomplish in the future, and I do believe that it would be beneficial for Richmond County. And my other concern is how can you say, well, put it over there, but don't put it over here, but then you say it's a good idea. You should be able to put it anywhere if it's a good idea. So that's my concern.
Staff recommendation? Ma'am, how many we got? Ma'am, if you'll come up and give us your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Donna Hastings. I live at 1131 Mary Street. I moved here in July from West Virginia, Charleston, West Virginia, where I've lived all my life. I wanted better weather. I got better weather, and I got one of the most incredible neighborhoods you've ever seen. It's the most diversity I've ever lived in. The nicest, kindest people. If there is a problem, the neighbors come together and help each other. I can't tell you how many times I've spoken to people and they stop, and every time they go by to walk to the Family Dollar. I think this will work well in this neighborhood when everybody gets out of not my backyard, because I've worked in community behavioral health and community services, finding housing, jobs, and all kinds of things for people with severe problems. And it's always the same argument, just not in my backyard. I think it'll work. I think there's people in the neighborhood that can add to what's going on there, and I'd be very interested in helping out, in mentoring and being a part of. So I hope you will consider it, because I think it can be a very good thing. And I've had a lot of experience with this type of situation.
Thank you. Come up and give us your name and address. How many people are, two? This is going to take.
Make a decision. Take 2 more people and close it.
I'm going to take one more and close it. Time has run out already. Let me have one of you, please. Whichever one wants to come up.
Good afternoon. My name is Sarah Michalke. It's Michalke. I live at 3905 Dent Street. I live in Martinez. I don't live in the area, but I do serve as the head of the Youth Advisory Board for the Bridge Builder Communities Program. I grew up in foster care. I know there's a fear that the youth who are coming out of the foster system are troubled youth. I know you guys are afraid that there may be issues with some of the statistics that are associated with them. I want to tell you that myself and the members of our Youth Advisory Board, we all either came from the foster system or we've gone without parents for a while. I've never once been in trouble with the law. I have served honorably in the United States Navy for 8.5 years. Yeah. I teach and mentor with the Drug Education for Youth program that the Navy puts on for our local community. There will be a community center and a community garden that will be available. There are life skills training that not only our youth needs, but that our community needs, because there are so many children in the community that are going without. And as someone who grew up knowing what it's like to feel unseen, unheard, and unrepresented, I can guarantee you that when we invest in not just, this investment isn't just in these youth. It's in Richmond County, it's in the state of Georgia, and it's within our country. Because I guarantee you, if we invest in these youth, they're going to be our future doctors, lawyers, businessmen, politicians. They're going to lead our armies and they'll command our battleships someday. But first, it starts here, and investing in them and telling them that we care and that they matter and that we see them and we hear them and that we want to do something. It's one thing to hear a calling, it's another to answer it. And today, I just ask that we take time to look at not just the youth, not just the folks living in the home, but the investment that this will be to the community, the return in our country that we will be getting from these youth. And it just takes a little bit of time and investment now, because right now we want them to thrive, but it's so hard to thrive when they're still fighting to survive. Thank you.
I thought this was a planning commission meeting.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question.
Ask him.
It's of Mr. Herbert. Mr. Herbert, are you in favor of this or against this?
Yes, in favor.
Okay. And the reason I ask that is I may have a reason to have to abstain, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Herbert.
Okay, staff recommendation.
We'll do each one separate. So we'll start with rezoning application Z-24-18. It is a request to rezone from a split zone of, from R1C to R1E, single-family residential, with the following recommended conditions. Number one, the planning and development staff recommends rezoning the property to R1E with one condition. Approval of this rezoning request will not constitute approval of the conceptual site plan for tiny homes that was resubmitted with the application. The proposed development shall obtain its separate site plan and its separate approval through the special exception process of the Augusta, Georgia Planning Commission. This concludes staff recommendation.
Mr. Chairman, I make a recommendation that we approve for staff recommendation.
Second.
We got a second motion from McKnight, second from Cooks. We're going to do a roll call vote, please.
the approval? Commissioner Cook?
Yes.
Commissioner Boozer?
Yes.
Commissioner McKnight?
Yes.
Commissioner Davis?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Neill?
Yes.
Commissioner Ballas?
No.
Commissioner Clark?
Yes.
And you are recusing yourself?
I am, I have a conflict.
So Z 2418 for the rezoning of the bridge builders has been approved. Staff recommendation.
The special exception is next. They are seeking a special exception in accordance with the zoning ordinance to allow for a tiny home community to be built. Staff is recommending approval with 2 conditions. Number 1, the final exterior architectural features and design shall be subject to approval by the Planning and Development Director or designee on their behalf. Number 2, approval of this rezoning request will not constitute approval of the conceptual site plan submitted with the rezoning application. The proposed development shall obtain site plan approval in compliance with the site plan regulations of Augusta, Richmond County prior to the construction commencing on the property. This concludes staff's recommendation.
Move to approve, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Davis, Cooks and Davis. All right, so that was a motion to approve special exception 2406. We'll do it all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed to the special exception, say no. That's your matter.
Again, I have to abstain.
All right, so the special exception has been approved for staff recommendation. Can everyone hear me? All right. The next item is the parking variance. This parking variance will not move onto the full commission. This will be a final decision. So the parking variance is going to be for a reduction in the required number of parking spaces from 50, and the staff is recommending approval of the reduction down to 28 parking spaces, which amounts to 1 space for every tiny home unit and 3 spaces required for the community building. In addition to that, staff recommends 2 other conditions: that all lighting must be directed downward and away from the undeveloped properties, and condition number 3, this project shall substantially comply with all development standards and regulations as set forth by the City of Augusta, Richmond County, Georgia at the time of development, including but not limited to the Augusta Tree Ordinance. This concludes staff's recommendation.
Move to approve with an additional recommendation that handicap units be moved to the front of the property.
Question.
Yes.
Yeah, they need to agree.
Yes.
Did you hear that?
Yeah.
The petitioner,
Hear that?
I did, I agree.
Second.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve with the secondary recommendations and
Yeah.
staff recommendation.
You made a motion, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you did?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we already got it there.
I see what you're saying. So we have a slight hitch. Kevin just pointed it out. The proposed condition is being stated and attached to the parking variance as opposed to attaching it to the tiny home special exception. So
Talking about for the accessible units?
to move that accessible unit to the front. So that condition is being recommended under the parking variance. It should have gone with the previous one,
Okay.
but Sam, does it matter?
If the applicant consents to it, then it's fine.
Okay. All right. So we'll leave it there. I'm
We
sorry,
consent.
Attorney Miller.
Yes, we consent.
All right. So we'll leave it there.
All right.
All right. Do roll call, please. Yes.
That was a motion to approve the parking variance of 2402. We want to do a roll call vote. Commissioner O'Neill, how do you vote on the approval?
Yes.
Commissioner Ballas?
No.
Commissioner Clark?
Yes.
Commissioner Prince?
Yes.
Commissioner Cook?
Yes.
Commissioner Boozer?
Yes.
Commissioner McKnight?
Yes.
Commissioner Davis?
Yes.
And Commissioner Smith is recused.
Correct.
Okay. So that petition has been approved. Staff recommendation.
All three.
Thank you. We'll wait for a minute or so to let the room clear. Kevin. Kevin. Good catch.
Top to bottom, Chairman?
Okay.
I need the people standing in the back of the commission chamber to leave.
All right. Item number 1 on the agenda, Z-24-07. It is a petition by Yuri Huang requesting a rezoning from Zone R1A, one-family residential, to Zone B1, neighborhood business, affecting property containing approximately 0.25 acres located at 3333 Wrightsboro Road. Staff will present.
Kevin Boyd, Development Services Manager. This property involves a 0.25 acre tract located adjacent to the Army National Guard facility on Wrightsboro Road. The request is currently Zone P1. Applicant is requesting for a B1 designation to establish a massage parlor. And initially, the request included having a lived-in residence component. This was denied by this body February the 5th, 2 months prior, and then it was considered by the Augusta Commission on the February 20th meeting, in which they, upon evidence and information presented, thought that it would be most appropriate to bring it back for a vote to you all. Given the circumstances about the lived-in component, in which the applicant resubmitted information to remove the residential component. So this request is now only for the massage parlor in the B1 zone for your consideration. And that concludes staff's presentation.
Thank you, Kevin. Now, if you would give us your...
I'm Yuri Huang. I live at 394 Purbeck Lane, Martinez, Georgia. Since I moved here to Augusta from China in 2016 with my husband. I got my real estate license on February 10th, 2019, got my massage license in October in the same year. Have been doing both work since then. I started my own massage business named Augusta Massage and Facial Studio in our county in 2021. In these almost 3 years, we help many people from different fields with different age. Senior one over 90 years old, younger one to 3 months. We do professional massage to help people relieve their body tension, headache. For example, headache, shoulder pain, neck pain, lower back pain, sciatics, knee problem, tight cramp muscles. These years, we learned a lot and gathered a lot of experience. We have more and more clients coming. And this property on 3333 Wrightsboro Road property is on the main road, is really good location for many business. So I proceed and want to change it into commercial property for my business. You can ask me any questions you have, and my English is a second language. So I'm kind of slow, but I can understand if you can just give me a little bit of patience.
I'd like to ask one question. So there's no one who's going to be living in this massage parlor on a full-time basis?
No one.
Thank you. Are there any petitioners in the room who are opposed to this project? Any petitioners who are in favor of this project? Yeah, that's him. Thank you. Any commissioners have a question?
I make a motion that we approve it.
Let me hear the recommendation.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Recommendation from staff?
All right. The Planning and Development staff is recommending approval of the rezoning request with the following conditions. Number one, a 6-foot-tall wood privacy fence is required along the north property line adjacent to the R1C residential zone property in order to provide the proper buffer between the commercial and residential use. Number two, the approval of this rezoning request would not constitute approval of the concept site plan submitted with the rezoning application. Additional development of the property will also require a site plan approval, being in compliance with the site plan regulations of Augusta, Georgia for the actual development prior to construction or working as a massage parlor on the property. Condition number three, the development of the property shall comply with all development standards and regulations set forth by the City of Augusta, Richmond County, Georgia, as amended at the time of development as required. And condition number four, there shall be no sleeping or residential quarters within the business as long as it operates. And that concludes staff's recommendation.
Ma'am, do you agree with those conditions?
Yes.
Yes. Make a motion to approve.
Yes.
Thank you.
Make a motion to approve with the staff recommendations.
Second. Let's move on.
And that was a motion to approve Z2407. That was Poozer and Malice. Okay, all in favor of the approval, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. All right, so Z2407 has been approved with staff recommendation.
Next item on the agenda is subdivision variance 24-02. It is a petition by Richard Baldwin on behalf of Hey B. Kim, requesting a subdivision variance from Section 405 of the Land Subdivision Regulations for Augusta, Georgia, to subdivide one parcel into 3 parcels, one of which would be physically landlocked, affecting property containing approximately 24 acres located at 1607 Hepzibah McBean Road, zoned agricultural. It's on page 11 in your packet, and staff will present.
Thank you. I'm Rachel Martin. I'm Planning Projects Coordinator with the Department of Planning and Development. This petition involves a 23.04 acre tract Sorry about that. This petition involves a 23.04 acre tract located at 1607 Hepzibah McBean Road, approximately 5,000 feet east of Peach Orchard Road. Oh, okay. Thank you. Sorry about that, guys. This petition involves a 23.04 acre tract located at 1607 Hepzibah McBean Road, approximately 5,000 feet east of Peach Orchard Road. The site is currently zoned A, agriculture. The applicant seeks to subdivide the property into 3 tracts, 1, 2, and 3. Tract 1 will be a newly created parcel consisting of 1,528 acres. Tract 2 will be a newly created parcel consisting of 1,978 acres. These front tracts will have direct road access frontage on Grindstone Creek. Tract 3 will be a newly created parcel consisting of 20.498 acres and will require an easement for road access to the site. The applicant has recently amended the request to include a 60-foot wide and 201.04-foot long access easement across Tract 2 extending from Grindstone Creek, but the applicant is unwilling to commit to the necessary street improvements for a private road. The property has no access to public water or public sanitary sewer system at this time. Hepzibah McBean Road is located and identified as a local or minor road. There are no sidewalks currently existing for the subject property. The property is not located within a special flood area, and there are no wetlands. The applicant's proposed subdivision of land is incompatible with the comprehensive plan. At the time of completion of this report, staff has received multiple opposition inquiries regarding this application. And just to reiterate, the proposed tracts would measure track 1, 1.528 acres, track 2, 1.978 acres, and the third track, which would not have direct access, would be 20.498 acres. Thank you. That concludes staff presentation.
Thank you. Is the petitioner present? Sir, if you'd come up to the microphone and give us your name and address and a brief overview of your request.
Yes, my name is Richard Baldwin. I'm a land surveyor with EMC Engineering Services. I'm here to represent Ms. Kim. My home address is 1171 Sumter Landing Circle, Evans, Georgia. Do you guys have the survey plan, Kevin?
Right. So there is the survey that outlines the proposed lot as presented.
Okay. Our client would like to subdivide that larger parcel into 3 parcels. The one going up the end of the street would be an 1.5 acres, and the one to the right is going to be 2 acres, and the one in the back will be the remaining 20 acres. She wants to live on the 20 acres and build a house back there. She can't access that unless we can get an ingress-egress easement, like a 30-foot ingress-egress easement across those lots that she's going to create in the front to get to the back parcel. We don't feel like it's any different than the lots that are there, because the 2 lots are actually bigger than the subdivision lots that they are abutting. So we don't feel like it's going to change the area at all. You see the 2 lots right there that are going to create at the end of the road. Those 2 lots are actually bigger than the subdivision lots that they abut right there. So we don't see where it's causing any major issue. That's it, unless someone has questions.
Anyone in the room opposed to this petition? Yes. Ma'am, wait a minute.
She owns all the land,
You got a good count? Do you have sir, you can sit down if you like. Have you chosen a representative to speak for you? I will. So if you come up to the microphone and give us your name and address, please. And state your opposition.
Deneen McAlpin at 3205 and 3207 in Arcadia, Blackhurst Branch Road. I speak for the HOA committee of Arcadia. They're asking for an egress, and he's saying it's not much different than what we already have in place, but they were well aware when they bought this property that it was landlocked and should have made arrangements with the property owners in who they bought the property from. They would be benefiting from entering from our neighborhood, in which we maintain homeowners association fees on that property and that entrance. And we're saying we don't want the extra traffic through there. They're saying they want to make the 2 lots on each side more than what we already have in there, and then reserve the other part in the back for a bigger living area and stuff. We feel that they still should be able to consider from the property owner purchasing more land to have their own entrance into their property. And that's where we stand right now.
Thank you, ma'am. Commissioners, do you have a question? Sir, are you speaking as opposed to? And you're the petitioner. Let me hear the opposed to next.
My name is Keith
Please-
Moore. Yes,
I'm
sir.
sorry, sir. Please address your remarks to the commission, not to
Yes,
the
sir.
audience.
Absolutely. My name is Keith Moore. I'm at 1308 Apache Trail, 30815. I would like to start off by thanking the members of the Augusta Richmond County Planning Commission for giving me the opportunity to speak today. I have my wife here, Janelle, and my 3 boys. My wife and I are here not only as concerned citizens, but also as the owners of the largest parcel of land located in the Arcadia subdivision. Our opposition to this proposed variance for the creation of a landlocked parcel located at 1607 Hudson Bean Road, parcel 334-0-001-10-0, owned by Mrs. Kim, is rooted in a deep commitment to preservation and well-being of this neighborhood. The subdivision variance, which is up for consideration today, raises significant issues regarding accessibility, sustainable development, and the overall integrity of the Arcadia community. As a real estate investor for over 22 years, when I purchased the 50-acre lot, it was with a clear vision and intent to preserve the character and connectivity of this neighborhood. The creation of a landlocked parcel contradicts this vision, potentially by disrupting accessibility and cohesive community layout that these dedicated homeowners have maintained for more than 2 decades. Such development poses risk not only in terms of emergency service and utility access, but also maintaining the quality of life that makes Arcadia a desirable place to live. Moreover, creation of a landlocked parcel could lead to a series of complications, including disputes over access rights and increased burden on existing infrastructure. These challenges not only affect the immediate property owners, but also have far-reaching implications for the entire community, potentially leading to a decrease in property values and a departure from the thoughtful planning that has characterized this neighborhood for many years. Moving from Jacksonville, Florida, this is something my family witnessed firsthand. When over a 5-year period, our neighborhood quadrupled in size due to unmitigated residential home development, which produced many of the issues that I just described. The President said by approving this variance has the potential to pave the way for future development that further erodes the fabric of this community. Hypothetically speaking, the property owned by Mrs. Kim and the property that I own, which is roughly 75 acres, we could essentially do the same thing to the residents of Arcadia if this landlocked parcel goes unchecked. So it's crucial that the Planning Commission consider the long-term impacts on such decisions and the message that will be sent about our collective values regarding the community planning and development within Richmond County. Considering these concerns, I urge the Planning Commission to deny the variance for the creation of a landlocked parcel and allow all stakeholders to come up with a mutual beneficial path forward. Our commitment to preserving this neighborhood and ensuring its growth must align with the principles of accessibility, sustainability, and community well-being. I trust that the Commission will act in the best interest of the Augusta, Richmond County residents and uphold the standards that have made our community a place we are all proud to call home. Lastly, to all Arcadia residents and board members, I will end by saying this: your neighborhood was built on a collective economic and cooperative foundation. With all due respect, if you concede or compromise with any developer without drawing a clear line in the sand, it will only be a matter of time before everything you worked hard and maintained becomes unrecognizable. I would like to thank the Commission for your attention to this matter, and I am confident in your dedication to making an informed and thoughtful decision that reflects the best interests of our community. I will say one thing: I know my time is limited. I have multiple developers come to me trying to purchase my 50 acres. I have denied all buyers. I could make a substantial profit by selling my property. I have not done so. And I understand that there was a question about the type of homes that they would be potentially building in that neighborhood, which is about between 2,000, 2,500, and 3,000 square feet or more. In today's dollars, as we all know, inflation, those houses will run about $600,000 to $500,000, and that is not the Arcadia community at this point. So they want to, the message was sent that they want to match the homes that were there built 15, 10, 20 years ago. If you build the same house that they built now, at the current inflation rate, it's going to basically, I don't see how they can get a loan for that, honestly. I don't know, in that area, I don't know how a bank would approve a $700,000 or $600,000 house. So, you know, the proof is in the pudding. I am building a single home out there, and I do have 50 acres. And I just think it's in the best interest of the community to keep it the way it is. I have 2 interests coming in. I could literally sell that property and have developers have full access into 2 parts of that neighborhood. So I just wanted to make that clear, and thank you for your time.
Commissioners, do you have any questions? Staff recommendation? I think there are a lot of supporters. You want to hear from all of them?
I was asking Chairman if you wanted to hear from anyone who was supporting the applicant.
Is there anyone in support of this application?
All right, the Planning and Development staff has recommended denial of the subdivision variance request. Oh, so sorry.
Ma'am, if you'll give us your name and address.
My name is Hei Kim. I live in 448 Winoki Drive, Evans, Georgia. I came to America about 30 years ago, long time ago. But I always had a dream about, living nice neighborhood, and then I want to build my house on my land. This is the first time I bought land. So when I went to my land, it was so beautiful neighborhood, very quiet. So I want to build my house in that area, 24 acres. But right now, I don't have money, so probably in the future, maybe after retire, 15 or 20, I'm not sure. But I know the build house is costs a lot of money. So I want to divide it 3 lot, which is the left on right side. But I don't understand why neighborhood denied it, because it's such a nice neighborhood. I want to build a house over there, either right or left. I don't understand. I mean, it's not big neighborhood. I live in about 20 neighborhood, but I driving every day easement. But this is just a little bigger than neighborhood. I don't have any problem build a house over there. I mean, we are same neighbor. Beautiful area. It's not like 100 house in there. It's only 2 more houses I want to build over there. I need to know the reason, really.
Ma'am, would you like to leave? You made a statement, but you asked a question that we can't answer for you.
I mean, I want to ask the neighborhood why they don't want me to build a house.
No. You must address the commission, not the neighborhood or the people in the audience.
So, I don't know. I mean, I'm very disappointed because I'm not a built house right now. I mean, it's just two house.
Thank you, ma'am. Staff recommendation?
If I may, sir, Chairman, in response to her question, may I respond to her?
Certainly.
Okay. Ma'am, Ms. Kim? Yes. The concern is with regards to the fact that from the Planning Commission standpoint, our recommendation for denial is because we would like to see you put a real road in, not just an easement. We would like for you to do the proper private road
or you can have a road built to city standards and go through engineering, of course, and have it deeded that way. The opposition of the department is just in regards to how you want to provide the access. It's nothing against the fact that you want to subdivide the parcels. It's just about making sure that each lot that gets created has access to a proper road, not an easement. That's the only concern. So if you would like afterwards, because I know my staff has reached out to your engineer of record and your surveyor, but we can talk you through some potential ideas and ways you could accomplish the objective without going against the required or the recommended width requirements and paving requirements. So we can still talk and work with you. You don't have to feel defeated, and we can get you there. But it'll require another conversation off the floor, okay?
Go ahead.
Just for the staff, just for my clarification, is that I see that they had a survey divided into 3 lots. What I think I'm hearing her say is that she would like to build one on the smaller lots, like track 1 or track 2. Is there anything that prohibits her from doing that right now? Is she owns?
As it stands right now, if you're looking at your screen, if you look at the, put your left hand on your pointer finger on the proposed road, right, and then immediately to the left, that lot has enough road frontage where you could do the access right there. That lot wouldn't need anything extra.
That track 1.
That track 1. So there is an opportunity there. And then, of course, the portion of the lot that juts down to create the flag pole portion of it, that lot would have access. It's the newly proposed lot right over here on the right side where the pin is that does not have the proper access. So there could be a reconfiguration. There are some other things that could be done to accomplish this, but there is a way you could subdivide this parcel and make a better arrangement. It can be done. But the bottom line is, in order to create 3 parcels, you're going to have to establish that private road at some point.
Right, but I hear that I'm just clarifying what I'm hearing from the petitioner, is that she wants to build a house, okay, and that this will prohibit her from building a house. And what I hear staff saying is, no, this is not prohibiting, it's prohibiting you from dividing up into 3 lots, which one of them would not have access.
Correct.
And okay. And if y'all could help her
right,
explain that to her.
Mm-hmm.
Commissioner Smith?
This is for the staff. Can they withdraw their application and work with y'all and resubmit it when they're better informed? Would that be a possibility?
That's actually what we did last month.
Well, apparently, I'm sorry, I was out last month.
Yes.
But apparently, I don't think that they're.
We don't mind if the motion is to postpone, to give them another opportunity, because they withdrew last month in order to consider a new design, and they did change the design, but it didn't alter it enough where they could get access for all 3 of the lots. There's not going to be a way around the private road. That's the bottom line.
I think the ball is in your court now. We're offering you an opportunity here to withdraw and work with the staff and then come back to us, as opposed to us having an up or down vote today.
That's fine, we'll do that.
I got a question, Commissioner, follow up.
Is it appropriate now to make a motion to postpone this, or?
We got one question.
Yeah,
okay.
Well, it sounds like we're going in the same direction here, but to the staff, you mentioned that they withdrew last month. Based on your conversations, I mean, do you feel like they are knowledgeable enough, or they are aware enough in this time around they made a attempt to do so based on the conversation that y'all have had, and whatever the revision was that's submitted, you still have the same recommendation?
I am comfortable saying that the surveyor and the EMC Engineering Services is aware of what the requirements are, and they are aware of how it could possibly be done and accomplished. But the bottom
but if it's still going to meet the requirements for access, no.
What
Time
about
for a
the
motion.
neighbors also? I mean, I'm sorry, with us doing this the second time, all of these people having to keep coming to this meeting. And they were given an opportunity.
Are you entertaining a motion? Are you entertaining a motion, Mr. Chairman?
No, just answering this question.
Or did you read the recommendations? Just that? Oh, okay.
I'll make a motion to deny.
Second.
Well, I don't know, did we get the recommendations? I know, I was just for the record.
The Planning and Development staff's recommendation was for denial of the subdivision variance. A private road needs to be established. Primary access to lots needs to be off of a road, not an easement. That concludes staff's recommendation.
You got a motion in a second already? Wasn't it? Me and yeah.
Well, there was a motion to deny special subdivision variance 2407. That was a motion by Davis and Prince. Let's do a roll call vote. Okay, Commissioner Smith, how do you vote? On the denial.
I vote in favor of the staff's recommendation.
Commissioner Boozer?
Yes to the denial.
Commissioner McKnight?
No.
Commissioner O'Neill?
Yes, to deny.
Commissioner Mallett? Yes, to deny. Commissioner Prince?
Yes, to deny.
Commissioner Davis?
Yes to deny.
And Commissioner Clark? Yes, to deny. So that special variance has been denied.
The next item on the agenda, if anyone is here for that item, I'll go ahead and clarify. Item number 3 on your printed agenda, Z-24-13, in regards to Green Meadows Drive, has been withdrawn and postponed. We will advertise it if it comes back. Item number 4 on your printed agenda is Z-24-14, and it is a petition by Track West Partners on behalf of Savvy 3120 LLC, requesting a rezoning from Zone B1 and B2, which is a split parcel, to Zone B2 general business, affecting property containing approximately 1.6 acres located at 3120 Washington Road. Staff will present.
Thank you. Rachel Martin again, Planning Projects Coordinator with the Department of Planning and Development. The petition seeks to rezone 1.6 acres of conditional split-zoned B1 and B2 property to B2, which is located at 3120 Washington Road. The applicant would like to construct a car wash facility. The findings are as follows. The parcel is adjacent to other commercial properties. A traffic signal is located approximately 320 feet from the property's main entrance, which fronts Washington Road. The property also has 2 additional access points on Woodland Road. The adjacent zoning to the west is light industry. The adjacent zoning to the east is B2. To the south, R1A. And to the north, light industry. The subject property is not within a flood zone. Public water and sewer are present. Public transit is available within approximately 560 feet of the subject property. The adjacent road is a principal arterial route. Proposed parking is delineated, and the level of service for this segment of Washington Road is below a C. On September 5th, 1995, the Augusta Commission granted approval of zoning case Z-95-90 with the following condition: that the future use of the property conforms with Section 4 of the zoning ordinance. And that concludes staff's presentation.
Thank you, Rachel. Is the petitioner present? Sir, if you'd come up and give us your name and address and a brief overview of the petition.
Breck Dehart, representing Track West and Savvy, 749 Darlington Circle in Atlanta, Georgia. It's my address. So we are proposing to conform the zoning here with the B1 assumed into B2. The technical access point, we'll be closing, this is more relative to DOT, the Washington Road access point, and having all traffic flow onto Woodland, which then will cut directly into the stacking and the car wash. We feel that it is sufficient that the zoning would be moved from B1 to B2 due to the adjacent properties to the east and the west and the north.
Is that it?
Yes, sir.
Anyone here present who is opposed to this petition? Have you elected a spokesman, or you have someone? Okay. Ma'am, if you'll come up and give us your name and address, please, and state your opposition.
My name is Thomasine Deere, 117 Kings Chapel Court, and I live in Montclair. I'm concerned because of the traffic. We have at Montclair, there's a dump in from Fears Ferry Road. The traffic light dumps into down Washington Road at Warren Road, where they're talking about discussing this car wash is at Woodland. There's a new ice cream coffee shop there that they dump their traffic into Woodland. This will dump into Woodland, if I'm understanding it correctly. It's a residential area right there behind it. In fact, next door to this property is a home. The traffic through Montclair is terrible. Pleasant Home Road's got a big a housing development going on there, which is going to have cut-through traffic. Going through West Avenue in that area. Chick-fil-A is the next street down, which all of their traffic is funneled into there. My concern is the traffic. We have just been, supposedly going to have a car lot behind us in front of us at some point in time. There's another piece of property up for sale. There's another property on the corner of Kings Chapel and Washington Road that has been sold. So we've got so much traffic in there now, so much speeding, and I just think there could be something a little bit less traffic, because that's going to be people coming in and out, and it's all going to dump right in there to Woodland Avenue. There's a chiropractor in there, right next door in there. He has traffic coming in and out. So that's my concern with it. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, you come up and give us your name and address and state your opposition.
Hey, I'm Winter Walker. Our address is 104 Woodland Road, which is directly across the street from where the ingress and egress is on Woodland Road, because we own Walker Chiropractic. And then right in front of us is the new custard shop and coffee shop. So what this doesn't depict, that if you could see from like an aerial view, is our driveway, which we're a high volume office, dumps directly in front of that one. So like they come at the same angle, and then the custard shop with the ingress comes, so if you actually look at it, they would be battling. And the lady that lives in the neighborhood is correct. When we added the custard shop, Savvy Shoppers is not that busy, and a lot of people just use Washington Road for ingress and egress. They don't really come down Woodland Road to do that. So I don't know how that would work, because I know that the neighbors that we're friendly with and we try to do our best, they're already frustrated trying to get out of where they live to get to Washington Road to go to work and stuff, because we're there and the custard shop's new. I think the custard shop's only like 2 years old. So that's all I want to make a point of. I don't really care about if they want to go there, but the ingress and egress is already crazy right there. And it's already like a problem for everybody that lives there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioners, do you have any questions? Fine.
This is for the petitioner. Savvy Shopper is in front. Am I correct? Are y'all proposing to tear that building down, or are you proposing to?
Correct, tear it down.
Chairman Pittman and myself both live within 500 yards of where you're proposing to do this, and I'm not speaking on his behalf, but I don't think that's a very good use of that particular piece of property. It's built up high on the ground. I mean, that portion of Washington Road sits way up in the air, and you're going to build a car wash. So how deep down are you guys are going to have to excavate a significant amount of dirt, am I right?
Case by case, but typically, yes.
Okay. So how's that going to affect the runoff in that particular community for those other homes that are backed up right where you're talking about?
I'm not an engineer, so I cannot speak to the runoff.
Okay.
However, there is storm that is sufficient that sits there currently, and with our impervious ratio, we're actually decreasing the impervious, so it should benefit it.
I would disagree with you, but thank you for your opinion. Thank you.
I have one question.
What would the hours be of the car wash?
Can you please repeat that?
What would the hours be of the car wash?
We typically have restricted hours, which would have us, depending on the time of year. So right now, we're start till about 9 o'clock, 9:30. That's about the time. And then in the winter, it cuts down about 7:30.
The only thing I would ask is, y'all just be respectful for the people behind you.
Of course.
And maybe alter the hours a little bit at night when it closes. Okay, thank you.
My question to the petitioner is, have you looked at any other plans that would allow you to have an exit onto that Washington Road apron, and so that you don't have to dump your exit traffic onto Woodland?
We can continue to consider that, yes. We hear that the parcel adjacent as well is looking to be redeveloped, which then would cause for some different access.
When I look at the plan, it strikes me, I think is at the Sam's gas station, they have a similar crossover issue with their traffic trying to come in and traffic going into the store meeting. And I'm wondering, is just a little bit more tweaking of that exit from what I think are your vacuum bays closer to that apron. If you could probably facilitate a right turn only onto Washington Road and no significant increase of exit traffic onto Woodland, but I'm not an engineer either.
Yeah, no, it's
good point.
Yeah, it's feasible to flip it.
Yeah, you just flip it over and everybody comes in and leaves.
It's feasible, yeah.
Mr. Chairman? Go ahead. About how many cars are you looking at per day?
Per day, we typically generate 25 to 30 an hour. That's on peak hours, so you kind of blended average, you're probably just under 20.
Donnie? Did you have a question? No. Okay.
Sorry, I do not, Mr. Chairman.
Staff recommendation?
The Planning and Development staff is recommending.
I'm sorry. What did you wish to do?
I own the property, and I also own the house on Woodland. So I'm a little familiar with the neighborhood.
Are you speaking in favor of or opposed to?
I'm in favor of it.
Could you come to the mic and state your name and address, please, for us?
My name is Angela Roberts, and I own the property at 3120 Washington Road. And I also own the house 2 doors down on Woodland. So I'm pretty familiar with that neck of the woods. And I would like to sell it. So it's already zoned commercial. The 1.6 acre parcel, years ago when it was divided, only a portion of it was the B2 versus B1. So they're just trying to make it all one. So Washington Road, the blight of Washington Road, I hate to say it, I've been there 10 years. I wish it was different, but it's a busy commercial road. Something that's going to be going in there is going to be commercial. So I don't want you to, this commission to stop me from being able to sell it. Someone's going to have to buy it. And as much as we all love Washington Road the way it is, I feel like improvement will do nothing but help the road. I mean, if we have boarded up buildings, we're going to have more problems. One of my employees been held, in a headlock from a homeless person. I called the police. They don't even come. My house on Woodland Road was robbed. I mean, I've been robbed there several times. I mean, there's a problem. And I don't think that we're going to see small individual people own a lot of property on Washington Road anymore. It's going to be for bigger fish. But hopefully with bigger fish comes better resolutions to the crime problem that we have and other problems that we have. And there is two egresses. There's one on Washington Road and there's one on Woodland. So, and there's also what they call the suicide lane in front of the store, which allows for left-hand turns, which I think for this particular business would work. So I don't know what else you would want from them or me to provide. I understand Montclair is a neighborhood behind there. I don't think a lot of people will come out of the car wash and tour Montclair. You know, I really think they're going to get back on Washington Road and go about their day. So I don't think, I'm a big fan of Montclair, don't get me wrong. But I have seen Montclair deteriorate over time because of some of the homeless problems and some of the things we're facing with boarded up properties on Washington Road and lack of participation of the Richmond County Sheriff's Department and Police Department. So I'm hoping all that will change with progress. Progress is change. Change is progress. And I have had a business there for 10 years, and I'd like to continue to do my business, but not on Washington Road. That's all. So.
Thank you. Any more questions from the commission?
I just have one. To the traffic issue, I know Commissioner Smith and Commissioner O'Neill talked a little bit about it. So is it possible to condition an egress of some kind onto Washington Road?
I would say I wouldn't recommend it.
Okay.
The design as presented is ideal for traffic circulation. It is ideal for what we would like Washington Road to become. Part of the progress of Washington Road is closing off all of the multiple access points and funneling them to existing roads. So from a best practices standpoint, the planning department wouldn't suggest that as a recommendation. However, the commission has the ability to put whatever conditions they deem necessary.
So I guess my follow-up question would be, so I mean, I guess, again, I'm not an engineer either, but it does look like it could be a potential backlog or traffic jam here on Woodlawn. I mean, does traffic engineering have any thoughts about that?
We did consult traffic engineering, and again, this design takes into consideration the best practices from a traffic engineering perspective. Because of the distance, if they tried to use a closer entrance to Washington Road, we like to see turns off of Washington Road. We would like them to come back at least about 100 feet from the intersection. So the second entrance that you see with the 34, the primary entrance that's shown, that accomplishes that objective. In addition to that, we intentionally try to line up ingress-egress points across the street so that everyone can see each other from a line of sight perspective. So that's also part of it. It's intentional. Anytime you go to a street, we want you to see the people directly across the street. So, but again, whatever the Planning Commission deems necessary, we'll capture it.
Thank you.
I think what would address a lot of the concerns would be a decel lane coming off of Woodland Road. I mean, if we want to address what the community behind saying. But that may be.
You're not an engineer either.
No, I'm not an engineer either.
Johnny?
Want everybody happy.
I don't think that's going to ever happen with Washington Road anymore.
I think that would require a DOT on a decel. But to the young lady's comments at the back, she's saying that they have a office right across, and they're a high volume business, and you have a neighborhood trying to get to their houses on Woodland. When those 20 to 30 cars per hour come out of there and they're trying to make a left turn onto Woodland and get to Washington Road, I think there's going to be a problem there,
100%.
Especially with the traffic coming out of their office and then people trying to get into the neighborhood or out of the neighborhood. So, again, I'm not an engineer, but it does seem like that's going to be a very iffy point. And in my business, I typically see a lot of incidents when these cars are trying to get out of a tight spot.
Mr. Chairman. He made a very valid point, and you and I live over there. You can't turn left out of Woodland onto Washington Road now.
Nope.
I mean, it is impossible to turn left out of there. You have to go to the traffic light at Warren Road to try to get out. And so by his own admission, 500 more cars during the course of the day and they are going to turn left out of there. They're going to sit there and back traffic up past Miss Walker's place over there and further down the street. So I don't think that we're providing a safe environment for the neighborhood nor for his business and Miss Walker's business and the custard factory if we allow them to go in constructed where they can exit onto Woodland. I simply think that we're creating a problem and that we have to live with that if we do.
I hear you, but it is zone commercial.
But we have some restrictions that we can put into place, and that's all I'm asking, is that we think about the way we do that.
Understand, sir?
I would like to state that 500 is a gross overstatement. It is probably closer to about 250 to 300 a day. And also with the zoning, with the Section 4 of the code, back I believe in 1995, we hit that parking requirement, which is specific to this parcel.
Thank you. Staff recommendation?
All right. The Planning and Development staff is recommending approval of the rezoning request with the following 6 conditions. Number 1, a landscape plan in compliance with the Augusta Tree Ordinance and parking plan, including handicap parking, must be approved by Planning and Development during the site plan review process. Number 2, any improvements to the structure, land, or parking must receive approval via the site plan review. Number 4, adherence to all county regulations and ordinances at the time of development, including but not limited to expansion and remodeling, is required. Item number 4, recommendation number 4 is that the business close at 8 p.m. daily. Condition number 5, recommendation is a masonry wall or a 6-foot privacy fence must be installed along properties used and or zoned as residential. Condition recommendation number 6, a decel lane off of Woodland Road into the establishment shall be required pending engineering department approval of design. That concludes staff's recommendation.
Yeah, I'm waiting to see if, so do you approve, do you agree with all the 6 conditions?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Chair will entertain a motion.
I make a motion to approve with staff recommendation.
Second.
Motion to approve the staff recommendations as C 2414. Madison Bateman, with your roll call vote. Okay, so Commissioner Malice, how do you vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Smith?
No.
Commissioner Clark? Yes. Commissioner O'Neill?
Yes.
Yes. Commissioner Prince?
Yes.
Commissioner Boozer?
Yes.
Commissioner McKnight?
Yes.
And Commissioner Davis?
Yes.
Right, so C 2414 has been approved with staff 6 recommendations.
All right, next we move to agenda item number 5. This is a companion item. Nope, not yet. All right, agenda item number 5, not companion yet. It's getting after 5, right? All right, Z-24-15 is a petition by Dennis Trotter on behalf of Charles Savage requesting a rezoning from Zone R1A, 1 family residential, and B1 neighborhood business, this is a split zone parcel, to Zone B1 neighborhood business, affecting property containing approximately 1.57 acres located at 3306 Old McDuffie Road. It's page 26 in your packet.
Kevin Boyd, Development Services Manager. This is a property that involves a 1.57 acre tract and is located at 3306 Old McDuffie Road. This property is currently undeveloped, largely covered by mature trees and vegetation. The request is to rezone the entire property to B1. The site may look quite familiar to you. Mid last year, you all have denied a request to establish a convenience store on the property for particular reasons that was stating during the meeting. This property is now being proposed for development of a 10,000 square foot Dollar General Market store. And this is going to serve as those in-between trips to the grocery store with more more food that could be purchased from what you would get at a grocery store. This property is a split zone property, as mentioned. It is surrounded by agricultural R1A, R1B, R3C, and B1 and B2 properties. And it is a corner lot at the corner of Old McDuffie and Barton Chapel Road. Retail is allowed in B1 higher zones, and so the nature of this request is to consolidate the property, to remove the residential aspect for this development. And Old McDuffie is identified as a local minor road based on the Georgia Department of Transportation functional classification map, while Barton Chapel is classified as a minor arterial street. There are no sidewalks along Old McDuffie, but Barton Chapel actually has sidewalks. The nearest transit service is within 60 feet of the property. Property is not situated in any wetlands or floodplain areas, and the proposed zoning action is consistent with the 2023 comprehensive plan, which envisions such properties to develop in the manner that is presented. And so there are some concerns about the overall layout, but as far as the zoning, staff is in support of. And one of the main concerns is the loading space, and it must be screened and positioned at the back. And then that there should be a secondary access point to the site. Those are two staff concerns there. And that concludes staff's presentation.
Thank you, Kevin. Is the petitioner present? Sir, if you'd give us your name and address and a brief overview of your petition.
Sure. Good afternoon, commissioners, or good evening at this point now. Anyway, Kevin, thanks for laying it out for us. We are here to ask that we unify the zoning here from a split zone of B1 and residential to all B1. It's mostly B1 now, but we do need to ask that we unify the rest of it. Our plan here, Kevin, do we have any graphics of the store?
Next slide.
How about any more?
Yeah. Maybe the only.
Uh-oh. I'll let you drive. Let me give you one I can put up there.
And we could provide it here, but if you like, I could kind of.
Yep.
Mr. Trotter.
Yes, sir. So thanks, Kevin. So what we're trying to do here is just a new business, a new concept. And
I'm sorry, sir, to interrupt you. Did we get your name and address for the record?
Oh, I'm sorry, Dennis Trotter. I'm sorry.
I know you. We know you.
3510 Wheeler Road, Augusta, 30909.
Thank you.
Thank you. So what we're trying to do here, I would like to ask the Planning Commission for is a new concept called a market store, which is a product owned by and operated by a division of Dollar General, but this is it's the grocery store version on a grocery store concept in a small format. The store is about 10,600 square feet. It has produce, meat, vegetables, fruit, and is there to serve as a small format grocery for folks in a more neighborhood setting that will serve as a grocery option for them for healthy choices, sort of in between their larger trips to maybe Sam's or Costco or Walmart and whatnot. So it's not necessarily designed for a $300 fill-up, but it is designed if you run out of lettuce or sandwich meat or vegetables during the middle of the week and you want to pick up $20 or $30 worth of stuff, that's what it's there for. So it has all the same departments as a full-size grocery store, just in a much more condensed setting. So again, fresh meat, fresh produce, fresh vegetables, in addition to the other non-perishable food items that typically go that you would find in your grocery store. So it's branded a little differently. The color schemes are different. You can see there, Kevin, 38 coolers filled with frozen goods, milk, dairy, eggs. Again, it's meant to be a neighborhood grocery store in a small format to fill in larger trips to Kroger, Walmart, Publix, Costco, whatnot. There are some challenges to the site as far as topography goes. Normally we could fit, fine on even smaller sites, but this site has a fair amount of topography issues to it. There's about a 70-foot drop from the high side of the property up near the traffic signal to the low side of the property. We've done some preliminary work to make sure our grading will fit, and it will with some engineered walls, but it also makes the layout of the site a little bit of a challenge as we navigate some of these grade changes where the detention facility would be on the left side of the property in that triangular area. The driveway off of Barton Chapel is right there at Barton Chapel Road grade where we need to be, and then the site would obviously be at that grade as well. But that does create about a 10 or 12-foot grade change from the parking lot in the building up to the old McDuffie Road curb line. But we've got we've figured out a way around that with some walls and that will landscape and provide all the required buffering and screening of the trash and delivery areas that are required by code as well. And so happy to answer any questions y'all may have.
I don't hear any.
I got one.
Okay.
I know I'm not going to get it, but I'd like to get sidewalks on both sides of Old McDuffie Road. Can you help that happen, please? Because that is a dangerous intersection there.
We'd be more than happy to put them in on our side of Old McDuffie along our frontage that's there. We don't have any ability to go across the street and do it, and there are sidewalks on Barton Chapel. We'd be more than happy to do it on the Old McDuffie frontage that we have. And I believe it's code required through the development process as well.
Is there anyone here who's opposed to this petition? All right, come on up and tell us your opposition. Yeah, but first we need your name and address, of course.
Good afternoon. My name is Charles Carson. I'm on Barton Chapel Road, 30906. We've been here before, last year, as the young man just stated. He's talking about sidewalks. Who they think gonna walk on the sidewalks to go to the stores? The neighborhoods are elder people. They're old people, elder. I don't want to say old, elder, because I'm 70 years old myself. But ain't nobody gonna be walking up there to that store. We got Dollar General right across the street from that same store. Family Dollar from the same store. We got IGA right down the road. We got Walmart round the corner. Now Dollar Tree. We can go in there and get a pack of bologna for $1.25. But they trying to up all that to $1.50. It's still gonna be cheaper than theirs. It's still going to be cheaper. For the sidewalk, I don't see anybody walking down them sidewalks, elder people walking down them sidewalks, coming to the grocery store. I noticed he didn't say anything about the traffic. Traffic is another big issue. You got this time of day between 1400 and 1900 in the evening time. That go traffic, backed up from one end to the other. Not just coming down Barton Chapel Road, but coming out of Old McDuffie Road also. And it's heavy. I don't think we need another convenience store on that corner. Thank you.
My name is Leroy Bussey, and I live at 2411 Friar Lane. And it seems like we're just getting swallowed by these convenience stores. We got a station down on the corner of Gordon Highway and Barton Chapel Road. We got a convenience store across from Barton Village. You come down, you got a Family Dollar across the street at this signal light where he talking about putting this store. You go down the street, we got IGA on the left-hand side. On the right-hand side, they are opening up another convenience store. Then you got a BC down there, and then you got IGA, and you got another Family Dollar down there. What he failed to realize, he's talking about fresh fruit. We got a Kroger that's going to open up on Dyers Park. You know, that's all the fresh food we need. And then what he proposing, he's going to destroy our greenery. We're a small neighborhood, 84 houses, but our neighborhood is unique because it's surrounded by greenery. I can walk out of my door at any time and probably see deer walking in the yard. When they do that, they're going to destroy it. So I suggest that you don't let them do it because, like I said, and the traffic is murder. Even time, it takes me sometimes 2 minutes to get out into Barton Chapel Road. And that's going both ways. And when they put that there, that's just going to create more traffic. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone in favor of the project? Commissioners, any questions? Staff recommendation.
I have a question.
Okay.
With the recommendation, according to the drawing on the right, on the left side, in the rear, is that where the dock is going to be? Or what is that?
Yes, sir, that's correct. That's the loading area there on the left side of the page. This would be the south wall of the building.
Where you can put that on the right side so that, because so the trucks can be in the back of the store?
We would have to do some more engineering work to see if that's feasible. I'm not sure if it is. I think our thought was to get it as screened from the road frontages as we can, so we put it on that side there and up against the stormwater pond just to get it away from traffic and residences. I'd have to, I don't know that I could commit 100% to that today. But I'd be happy to look at it. And we also, we agree there are a lot of gas stations and convenience stores in this general trade area. That's why we wanted to present something different to the residents there than some options that they don't really have in that neighborhood immediate setting. And I think the inventory mix we showed would speak to that. I think our traffic, the traffic we generate is local, and it is cars that are already on the road. We're not bringing folks that don't already live in the area onto the road that are new trips to the area that raise the traffic congestion level. These are cars. These are folks that are already on the road. They're on their way home. They stop in to grab something on the late afternoon on the way home from work or on the way in the morning. So we don't contribute new trips onto the road nearly like a large format store would. Yes, sir.
Staff recommendation.
Chairman, may I ask a question of the applicant?
Yes, sir.
In
where they're proposing this, when they finish, it's going to be in one of the neighbors' backyard. That's where it's going to end up at. And like he's talking about fresh food. Kroger's opening up. We can get all the fresh food we want there. We can go down there at IGA and get fresh food. That's not a big deal. So I don't understand why they want to put that out there.
Staff recommendation?
Chair, may I ask a question of the applicant, sir? Yes, sir. May I ask a question of the applicant?
Certainly.
Okay. Are you able to commit to this aesthetic that you've shown in your demonstration? Is that going to be the aesthetic?
Which photo you're
The
referring to?
DG Market, the exterior?
Yes, ma'am.
It's a brick front with, make sure. It's on page 30 in your packet, Commissioners.
Yes, ma'am. We can do that.
That's the proposed, okay. All right. I just needed clarification, sir, Commissioner, Chairman. All right, so the Planning and Development staff is recommending approval of the rezoning request with the following 7 conditions. Number 1, approval of the rezoning shall not constitute approval of the conceptual site plan presented with the application. Final approval of the site plan in accordance with the comprehensive zoning ordinance is required prior to development. Condition number 2, issuance of the development permit shall be contingent upon the submission of plans meeting the engineering, environmental, and all other pertinent development regulations to include the exterior product. Condition number 3, this project shall comply with all development standards and regulations set forth by the City of Augusta, Georgia at the time of development. Condition number 4, an ingress-egress point shall be provided along Old McDuffie Road with consultation from the Augusta Engineering Department. Condition number 5, a loading dock shall be situated at the rear of the building consistent with the zoning ordinance, section 4-4 and 4-5. Condition number 6, sidewalks shall traverse the perimeter of the property to include a tie-in at Old McDuffie and Barton Chapel. And then for clarification, it's more of a clarification than a conditioning. We're aware of the topography and the slope, but we have concerns about the speed and the access point being off of Barton Chapel and not at the actual signalized intersection. We're worried about the rate of speed and that being the only access. So that's why we're kind of, we're really pushing for that Old McDuffie. But I do, we do want them to consult with engineering, so we'd like to leave that in. So I said 7, but it's really 6 with that caveat right there, because I have concerns about that slope and that being no protected turn to get in there and the amount of traffic. So that concludes staff's recommendation.
Sir, do you agree with the recommendations?
Well, out of 7, I think, well, let's talk about 5 and 6 for a moment. So, or excuse me, 4 and 5, I think it would be titled. On ingress egress for Old McDuffie, we're happy to explore it and see if there's a way for it to be done. I just know right now we're looking at an enormous incline on that connection point if we can make it. And we can work with John Usry and see if it's feasible. I don't know that it is. We've got to do some more survey and engineering work to see if it is. But it would be a very, very steep drive to make that connection, and we'd have we'd probably have to spend some time with Director Delaney and John Usry to see how that works out. I'm not optimistic it would work, but we'd have to figure that part out. And then for the loading area, I don't think we have the ability to get any delivery trucks behind the building with the topography and the maneuvering for those trucks into position without them hitting the building and crossing back into the right-of-way. I think it would be a little bit of an issue there. So we can provide all the delivery functions and the screening that's required. It's best located, we think, on that south wall of our building where it's shown. So I think the condition was that it would be behind the building. And we can meet the intent of all that. We just need to be able to do it on the south wall of the building. And the other conditions are certainly fine.
Chairman, I'd like a motion that we give you one.
It's your call.
Okay, so in this particular instance, I would, and it's not going to be the ideal situation, but I would recommend that we table this so that we can work through this properly. I know that, I will say this, the rezoning, if it's going to be rezoned, shouldn't be 100% dependent on this design. This is not the final. This is not anything that's going to be required in order to rezone. If they came and they were just selling this parcel outright and wanted to unify the zoning, we would hear it not knowing what was being proposed. So I don't think that it could be it's a coin toss. It's a 50-50 if you want to do it now. But I would say that the zoning needs to be consistent across the entire parcel. And this design is a concept. This is not the final submission, and we do work with engineering on all site plans to move projects through. So if a better access point was determined, that is something that we have the flexibility to deny. You are not locking them into this design.
So you would want to postpone?
I would, if the applicant isn't under any contractual obligations and a timeline, if they don't have if they don't have contractual obligations that they have to meet within a designated time frame, and they can spare the 30 days to work through the specifics, that's what I would propose if it's an option, but they might be under some type of timeline.
Mr. Dryer?
We're certainly not opposed to what Director Delaney has suggested. I want to, I guess, be clear on what our what matters we are discussing. Is it just access? Is it what all are we having to solve for in the next 30 days? I guess.
From the planning and development standpoint, we are looking at primarily the access point. With it, the one that's proposed is only off of Barton Chapel Road, and it's not at the signalized intersection, and it is on a slope. So we have some concerns. We'd like to go back to traffic engineering and have a more in-depth discussion about that. So,
is that something we can accomplish during the site plan review process, or it needs to be?
I do believe that it could be accomplished during the site plan review process. Again, you're not tying them into this design, this layout. Several of the conditions I listed were pending the the engineering department approval. So I can say those conditions again, just to provide clarity if that's needed, just those few. But one of the things we recommended was that they work with Augusta Engineering Department for guidance on the access to Old McDuffie Road, and then, of course, compliance with the loading requirements of the zoning ordinance 4-4 and 4-5, which they are subject to. So in talks with that potential access point, we could probably look at the, not probably, but we should be looking at the ability to accomplish some of the loading challenges too.
So you still want to postpone, or you want to?
I gave y'all two options.
I'd like to make a motion. I'd like to make a
Okay, well then I'll commit. I think we should. I would. This planning and development staff is still recommending approval.
Yeah.
So I haven't moved off of the approval. I think that's still where we are. We are recommending approval with conditions.
If I could say so, I think we're all going to say the same thing, that they still want the flexibility to, and I think that Ms. Delaney can put a word in there that says provided, or like we do in the past, the planning staff review and approve.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
that was the last recommendation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Johnny?
Mr. Chairman, I just, this gentleman wants to be recognized.
Sir?
Have they thought about those big old trucks coming up in there tearing up that road? Those trucks gonna tear up Barton Chapel Road and McDuffie, and that road on that side road on McDuffie Wood. Those trucks are gonna tear it up. They're gonna tear it up. That's just a little small community. We don't need another grocery store on that corner. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, are you entertaining the motion? I'd like to I move to approve the petition with the staff recommendations.
Second.
And that was Pooler and O'Neill, the approval for Z 2415 with the staff 7 recommendations.
Yes, yes.
Let's do a roll call vote. So
Wait,
Commissioner
wait,
Fritz, how do you vote?
wait 1 second. Does Mr. Trotter approve the staff recommendations?
I think we'd like the ability to work out those conditions at the staff level if we can. I think we need to do some more engineering work and report back to Director Delaney and John Usry and resolve those at the staff level if possible during the site plan review process.
And I think Director Delaney's recommendations allows for that, correct?
I think that's what we're saying. I
Yes,
want to be sure.
the recommendation is for approval with 7 conditions, with the understanding that they will have to pass Augusta engineering requirements with regards to access points, and they'll have to work with us in the planning department with regards to the loading requirements of the zoning ordinance.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Roll call?
So we're going to do a roll call vote for the approval. Okay, again, Z 2415. Commissioner Fritz, how do you vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Pooler?
Yes.
Commissioner McKnight?
Yes.
Commissioner Davis?
Yes.
Commissioner Clark?
Yes.
Commissioner Smith?
No.
Commissioner Malice?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Neill?
Yes.
All right, so Z 2415 has been approved. Staff recommendation.
This item will go before the full commission, so you will have another opportunity to speak about the application.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Commissioners.
If you provide Amber, or actually a member of my staff will meet you in the back and get your name and address. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. We're in the home stretch, hopefully. All right, now we finally get to the companion items, number 6 and number 7. It is a petition by High Preserve LLC and Gully Cat LLC requesting a rezoning from R1C 1 family residential and R1E 1 family residential to zone R1E 1 family residential, affecting property containing approximately 30.09 acres located at 3745 and 3749 Old Waynesboro Road. I said companion items, but it's still not companion item yet. I'm just running ahead, y'all. All right, so staff will present on this Old Waynesboro Road property.
All right. Ryan Jones, Planner 1. The request pertains to 2 properties totaling approximately 30.5 acres located on the west side of Old Waynesboro Road, around 1/3 of a mile from the road's end at Mike Padgett Highway. These properties, if rezoned to R1E, would be developed into a townhome community connecting to the existing townhomes located to the north. Currently, most of 3745 Old Waynesboro Road is zoned R1E, while 3749 and a sliver of 3745 is zoned R1C. The concept plan presented with the rezoning application proposes the following. 150 townhome units carrying a minimum width of 26 feet. End units on each townhome structure would be wider. The townhome structures are about 2 to 4 units per structure. The existing development to the north features 212 townhome units. Therefore, approval would constitute a contiguous total of 362 townhome units. Private roads would be built out throughout the development with 60 feet right-of-way. There would be parking pads for each unit along with guest parking lining the internal streets. The existing home located at 3745 Old Waynesboro Road would remain in place. There would be a mail kiosk near the entrance to the development at Old Waynesboro Road with a stormwater retention pond located at the back end of the development. Finally, the townhomes would be separated from the Covington subdivision to the south with a 20-foot landscaped buffer. There are no prior zoning actions that we noted at this property. Staff emailed the applicant a digital copy of the traffic impact worksheet for the development on March 13th. As of now, staff has not received any notification that that worksheet has been completed. Correspondence with the applicant indicates that the developer is considering different amenity options, but these are not currently reflected on the conceptual site plan presented with the application. The site does have access to public water and sewer. Augusta Transit does not directly provide service to this area. Slope on the property is gradual from about 250 feet high at Old Waynesboro Road down to about 220 feet at the rear of the property. Augusta GIS data show no floodplains or wetlands on the property. The property adjoins the Highborn Townhome community to the north, which carries that R1E zoning that's being requested. To the south, Covington Subdivision carries an R1A zoning classification. Property across Old Waynesboro Road to the east is R1. There is an industrial park just to the west of the property, which is zoned heavy industrial. As of March 13th, 2024, staff had not received any inquiries regarding this petition as it was advertised. Have we received any since that point?
We've got some concerns by the commission.
Okay. Yes. Okay. All right. That concludes that presentation.
If the petitioner has not met two of the if the petitioner has not met two of the most important requirements, why is he before us?
You can see, does the petitioner, if you'll allow, Chairman, if they have provided a traffic study that encompassed this previously when they did their first draft, maybe they have it ready now?
Well, let's ask them. If you step up and give us your name and address, please, sir. Tell us a little bit about your petition and why you haven't supplied those two items.
Thank you. Good evening, Commissioners. Appreciate the time tonight. I'll address the two items first. Ryan, I did receive your email. It was simply an inquiry form. It was not a request for a traffic engineering study. We completely understand that a traffic engineering study may be required in order, through the site plan approval process, may be required on this project, and we're happy to comply with that.
And the second item?
What was the second item? I don't believe there was an additional item. Yes. Thank you. Well, our intent is to unify these two parcels. Once again, the zoning that we're seeking is the R1E. The majority of one of these parcels is already zoned R1E. The other parcel is zoned R1C. Below us, the residential community there of Covington is zoned R1A. And just from a numbers perspective, R1E permits up to 10 units per acre. R1C permits 7. We are at a number that's right at 5 units per acre. We have significantly less density than what either of the two existing zonings actually allow. When I look at the density allowed in an R1A, which is the residential area below us, that's 4 units per acre. I don't think that the 5 units per acre is significantly greater. And if you notice the southern property line across this development on the image that's on the screen, you'll see that a lot of our units are much further away from that property line. It's actually the least dense area of our site plan. And the reason I mention that is because there's a desire to move this to a different zoning that would allow us only to provide basically duplexes with 60-foot wide lots. The things that make developments like this work is density. There's a significant cost of overall infrastructure, roadway systems, utilities, et cetera, that go into a project like this. And they have to be divided over a certain number of units in order for us to be able to provide reasonably priced housing for the people in this area, whether that's either by lease or by sale of the product. We understand that there's a demand in this area. We're very familiar with the Long Point development immediately to the north. That's 95% occupied. We think that this addition would be great for the community. We've taken a lot of attention to detail in the engineering. I have Bill Corder with Blue Water Engineering with me to locate the entrance into this community in such a way that it is further away from the Long Point community, allowing us to provide another deceleration lane and acceleration lane out of this community. We do have an interconnecting roadway system with the other development, which provides our secondary means of egress out of this development. So our request is to still pursue the R1E rezoning on this property to allow us to build to the density that makes the development work for the community. Our minimum lot size under that would be 26 foot, and basically those are the center units in some of our 3-unit and 4-unit building designs that create this community. We understand that sidewalks will be required around all the streets. We're happy to comply with that. We're happy to comply with the traffic study should that be required. You can see on this plan, this is one of the latest versions that was recently submitted to the county. There are some locations for amenities. I think we're showing a dog park, a little covered pavilion area, maybe a pickleball court, some green space, some grill stations. So I'm happy to comply with the provision of providing those in this development. I think that covers it. So we're seeking to stay the course with an R1E rezoning to unify these two lots from the existing R1E and R1C combination.
Thank you. Anyone here opposed to this petition? Sir, if you'd step up to the microphone and give us your name and address and state your opposition.
Good afternoon. Jeff Paget, 3754 Old Waynesboro Road. My driveway is directly opposite the entrance exit. What I'd like to preface my remarks with the idea that ATC has been a really good neighbor to our community with the Highburn and the Long Point developments north of this development that's proposed. All I would ask is for them to give another look at the density and the traffic study without question. The traffic is crazy. Just south of the entrance to the new proposed development is 4-H Club Road, which those of you have been there is essentially a one-lane track that connects Highway 56. At certain times of the day, the traffic from Mike Paget Highway 56 backs up all the way to 4-H Club Road, all the way back. And ATC has done some things north of us with the turn lanes and the middle lane, and I certainly appreciate that. Given their record, I'm confident they can make the changes that'll make this a little more compatible with our community. I live on 4 acres, like I said, just across from there. My wife and I, we plan to reach room temperature right there. And I would just like them to tap the brakes a little bit and give it another look. I'm confident that I heard my representative mention patio homes. That seems like a perfect transition between homes that people have purchased in Covington and the townhouses that they have north of there. So respectfully, I'd ask that you maybe ask them to revisit some of those things. I appreciate your time. I didn't realize what a good time y'all had down here.
Man, making friends and influencing people. Thank you.
Anyone in support of this petition? Commissioners, do you have any questions? Go ahead.
So I feel like 150 is extremely high. I live in Goshen. I've had multiple calls for people that travel that small on Waynesboro Road daily. So, you know, y'all have been we love Long Point, Highborn. It's a great community. The only, couple of things, I would love to see townhomes. We need single-family housing in Richmond County, and that would be a good transition. The traffic, I would definitely, if it does go through, recommend 100% a traffic study. That has to be a condition. There's a lot of children that walk from that area to Cross Creek. I would highly recommend a sidewalk. We have one from Covington down, but from Covington up, it's very, very dangerous for those children. So that's all. I would recommend those two items, the traffic study, if y'all could reduce the townhomes or single family. Patio homes would be great, but sidewalks would be a must also for me. Thank you.
Staff recommendation?
The Planning and Development Department recommends that in order to provide a more seamless transition between the higher density homes, townhomes, and the low density single family housing in this area, that approval to rezone the property to R1E should be denied. However, we do recommend R1D zoning with the following conditions. Number one, all units must be situated on parcels of at least 40 feet in width. Number two, sidewalks are required on both sides of the street within the development and along the road frontage for the development. Number three, a community building and amenity areas shall be provided. Number four, a traffic study must be provided to the Augusta Traffic Engineering prior to site plan submission. And number five, the final development of the property shall include at least two of the following: a dog park, picnic pavilion, grill stations, and/or pickleball court. And that concludes planning's recommendation.
So do you agree with those recommendations?
I do not. The R1D recommendation kills the entire development. Doing 60-foot wide lots would completely destroy the opportunity for this property to be developed. Why would I want to change?
R1D would be 40, just for the record, 40.
I'm sorry? Then
R1D lots would be 40 feet wide.
That's correct. I misspoke. Why would we exchange an R1E and an R1C in a rezoning meeting to get it significantly reduced to only 4 units per acre when the current zoning allows for 10 and 7? I'd like to stay with our suggested rezoning to an R1E, and then I'm happy to discuss a number of the conditions of that.
Can I add just a little bit to this as well? I just wanted to clarify a few things. I'm Bill Corder with Blue Water Engineering, 4210 Columbia Road, Martinez. I'm the project engineer. The recommendation from the staff for R1D, if I understand the code correctly, the uses in R1D, it would not allow this to be developed as a townhome development. The proposal is for a 3 and 4 unit townhome development. And in the uses, it says that it does allow for single-family attached dwellings in groups of 2. So it doesn't allow for groups of 2 or greater. It simply says groups of 2. So this would limit the development to a duplex-type development. And I would just like to reiterate, as Mr. Eyring has already mentioned, so we're currently zoned for
R1E at 10 units per acre and R1C at 7 units per acre. The density that we're showing is at about 5. And as we laid this out from an engineering standpoint, we had two options. We could align everything up to the south along the single-family neighborhood where all the density is, and then end up with a lot of open space on the other end. And we elected not to do that. We knew that we needed to have some more green space on the south end where we adjoin the single-family residential. And so if you look at the plan, you'll see that the townhome units on the north are all backed up against the other townhome units, and the less dense portion of the property is to the south. If you look at a lot of that, there's not even townhomes that adjoin most of those homes in the neighborhood. And then the other thing that I'll point out from a traffic standpoint, we've all acknowledged there's traffic challenges in the area, and we need to have a traffic study. But we elected to not connect. If you look, there's a road that dead ends into this property from the single-family residential neighborhood to the south that we have not connected to give them some privacy between the townhome development and their larger lot neighborhood. So I feel like we've done quite a bit to help buffer the neighboring property that is less densely developed, and we're leaving a buffer and leaving some undeveloped land outside of that buffer to help mitigate that. And again, we're only at about 5 units per acre density, which is half of what is allowed in an R1E.
I think what everybody's been trying to say is y'all have done a good job with the other developments and moved forward. But you got to also give a little bit back to the community. There's got to be some kind of transition from these townhomes to the single-family dwelling. And I wish y'all would look at that. And I think you're going to find out it pays in the long run to do that, to make this transition like the staff's trying to do, because it's going to get your reputation when you're going to go further and further. To come in and put this density next to the single family I just don't think it's quite right. I really don't. I think it looks like we're just trying to put as many houses as we can, or many townhomes as we can in a spot. That's just my statement.
Any other comments by the commission? Staff, would you?
Sure. And Chairman, if I can clarify one of the comments that was made, the R1D will allow for the developer to have the same zoning as an R1C. And every zoning, so you got R1, R1A, R1B, and R1C. So all of this would still be permissible with an R1D, which is what the staff is recommending. They will still have the ability to do some of the townhome development under the R1C. So just wanted to clarify that option does exist, but of course the footprint, it changes considerably. That being said, the planning and development staff, we have given our recommendation. We recommend that it's R1D, and we provided 5 conditions along that in support of our recommendation, and that's it.
Yep. Well, if they don't want to honor the recommendations,
I do have one question.
Entertain a motion.
I do have one question. To the applicant's point, the one thing he said, it kind of caught me. The R1E that he has by right, would that be a reduction going to a R1D?
No. Not in our estimation.
Okay.
Because he can develop that R1E portion right now. There's nothing that precludes them from developing the R1E, and that is his existing zoning. So if you have that currently, you can develop it currently. So use what you have at the R1E level, and then at the R1C, the reason it's R1C is it's supposed to provide a bit of a transition from that single-family detached. But they could currently build on their R1E under the current requirements, and then they could come back and try to change the R1C again later.
Chair will entertain a motion.
one other question. If he's not accepting the recommendation, what are we voting on?
The denial of the R1E.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Do we want to ask him one more time before we take this vote? Or are you ready to take the vote, Chair?
You haven't changed your opinion?
I have not. Changing to R1D is a reduction from its current zoning. So I'd rather stay with the current zoning and reevaluate.
Chair will entertain a motion.
I make a motion to deny the petition to change the zoning.
A motion and a second.
R1E.
I'm sorry. R1E. So, Commissioner Prince, how do we vote? Commissioner Boozer?
Yes to the denial.
Commissioner O'Neill?
Yes to deny.
Commissioner Ballas?
Yes to deny.
Commissioner Smith?
Yes to deny.
Commissioner Clark?
Yes to deny.
Commissioner McKnight?
Yes.
All right, and Commissioner Davis?
Yes to deny.
All right, so C 2416 has been denied.
Thank you.
This will go to the full commission, so there will be another opportunity for you to be heard. All right, next item on the agenda is item number 7. It is a petition by Augusta Historic Cottage Cemetery, Inc., requesting a rezoning from R1C One Family Residential to Zone LI Light Industrial, affecting property containing approximately 1.61 acres located at 1775 Marvin Griffin Road. Its companion item is Special Exception 24-05, and it is a petition by Augusta Historic Cottage Cemetery Incorporated requesting a special exception per Section 26 of the Comprehensive Zoning Ordinance to legitimize an existing cemetery affecting property containing approximately 1.61 acres located at 1775 Marvin Griffin Road. And we will require 2 separate votes, please. Staff will present.
This first petition for the rezoning seeks to rezone 1.61 acres of property from R1C to LI, light industrial. The applicant is seeking to make the zoning consistent along Marvin Griffin Road. No new development for the property is proposed, and the property will remain in use as a cemetery. This parcel is adjacent to other industrial properties with light industrial zoning to the west, east, and south of the property. There is an R1C subdivision to the north of this property. The subject property is not within any flood zones. Public water and sewer are present on the site. Transit does not directly serve the subject property. The adjacent road, Marvin Griffin Road, is a principal arterial route. Level of service for this segment of Marvin Griffin Road is a C. There are no previous zoning cases, and staff did receive an inquiry regarding this petition. The caller had concerns regarding the use of the neighboring property, but was not necessarily opposed to the rezoning for the purpose for this particular purpose. That'll conclude staff presentation.
Sir, if you give us your name and address for the record.
Yes, my name is Noel Swears, and I live at 619 Bourne Place in Augusta.
Brief outline of your petition.
Yeah, and I am an attorney here in Augusta and represent Augusta Historic Cottage Cemetery, Inc., which is a nonprofit entity that was formed back in the 2007 to acquire this property from the original developer of the Apple Valley subdivision behind it. It's the only piece of property on Marvin Griffin Road that's not zoned either light industry or heavy industry, and that's as much a product of the fact that it was, left over from the subdivision. But I think his description of the reason we're here is right. We asked all the residents, and none of them are in favor of moving, so it will remain a cemetery. And I think that was one of the biggest items of concern. But and if you have any questions.
Thank you, sir. I guess I don't need to ask, is there anyone opposed to the petition, right?
The Planning and Development staff is recommending approval of the rezoning request. No conditions.
Move to approve.
Second. All in favor of the approval of C 2417, say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no. All right, so it's approved.
Next up was the special exception to legitimize the cemetery at the same location. If we can, Chairman, ask for a vote on that.
Roll call vote?
We need a motion and a vote.
Approve.
Make a motion. Okay. Second.
I heard Mark say it was first.
Move to Pooza.
All right, so there was approval to approve special exception 2405. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. All right, so special exception has been approved.
Thank you very much.
They're all like that, and we'd be out of here by now.
Next on the agenda, we have the low THC oil. Language is distributed in your packets, and it was discussed. I have Ms. Lenitha from the legal department here to help me if I struggle through this. But the current recommendation coming from legal for a potential zoning ordinance amendment that we're seeking a motion on would read as follows. Dispensing licensees under the Georgia Access to Medical Cannabis Act who wish, licensees under the Georgia Access to Medical Cannabis Act who wish to operate within 1,000 feet of a 1,000-foot radius of a covered entity as that term is defined by OCGA is A, 1, the dispensing licensee's location is needed to allow retail outlets to be established to service registered patients as that term is defined by OCGA residing within Augusta, Georgia. Yeah, I apologize. My reading is struggling today. And number 2, the dispensing licensee's location is in conformity with the comprehensive plan. And number 3, the dispensing licensee's operation shall be consistent with all applicable state permit and licensing requirements. And number 4, the Planning Commission shall determine that the foregoing requirements have been satisfied, and further that the benefits of the proposed dispensing licensee are greater than any possible depreciating effects and damages to neighboring properties. In essence, this says that everybody who would like to obtain a dispensing licensee and operate it in Augusta, Richmond County will come via special exception. There will be no allowed by right options with regards to the low THC oil within 1,000 feet. And Ms. Pitts can field any other questions.
Petition President? Y'all have been here before, right? So if you'll give us your name and address and state a little bit about your petition.
I'm Vic Johnson. My home address is 2821 Bellevue Avenue, 30909.
I'm Tracy Smith with Botanical Sciences, 425 Burton Drive, Alpharetta, Georgia.
So most of you all know that we were here last month I think we've cleaned up this ordinance a lot better than we had last month, and I appreciate the law department has really worked very hard and diligent to help us with this, especially Attorney Miller. And I'm sure that you helped him too. And I don't know you as much. So.
I want to correct one thing that was said earlier.
Yeah, I do want to, the one thing about, and it sounds a little bit global when it says that each petitioner could come before this commission, but I need to remind you that right now, the state law only permits the dispensaries, which we talked about in the entire state, only 5 per company. There's only 2 companies, so we're talking about 10 in the entire state of Georgia. Or you can permit independent pharmacies. In Richmond County, and you may find this to be a little bit, because I looked it up, we're down to 6. We only have 6 independent pharmacies left in Richmond County. So even if all came before you, you're only talking about 6 special exceptions. And that's even if they were within the 1,000 feet of the covered entity. If they're not, they wouldn't even have to, they would be fine just being a licensed pharmacy. And I think Tracy has something that she talked with Attorney Miller.
So I just wanted to make a quick correction. Mr. Miller asked me to speak up on this point that he was confused on. There was a question asked in the pre-meeting if a school were to enter into within 1,000 feet of his business, it would have to go back when he gets his license. That's not accurate. Once you have your license, a church or school could move within 5 feet of him, and he's grandfathered in. It doesn't have to go back again. I also did want to tell you that we ran some numbers for the Department of Health, and we did find that there are currently 380 residents in Augusta who have their medical card, who are seeking, I'm not saying they're all going out trying to buy product right now, but they have gotten their card, so they clearly are interested in this medicine. So I did want to make that point to you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioners, do you have any questions?
Chairman, I have one. Okay. Hope just one, but this is for legal. And I hope I don't catch you off guard, but are greater than any possible depreciating effects and damages to neighboring properties? What's that supposed to mean?
That gives you leeway. It literally gives you leeway to say no.
Okay. So y'all feel that, okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? Staff recommendation?
Staff's recommendation is for approval to recommend to the full commission for review.
The special exception.
It's a special exception. It will move forward as presented as a special exception. So it would be a zoning ordinance amendment.
Motion to approve.
Second. Oh, yeah, I see it right there.
Roll call, please.
Not really. I'd like to do it all.
No, everyone,
Roll call. I don't want to be named on this.
Yes.
Commissioner Davis,
Yes.
Commissioner Malice. Yes. Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Commissioner Clark,
Yes.
Commissioner Cruiser,
Yes.
and Commissioner McKnight.
Sustained.
Yes.
All right, so that petition has been approved.
To approve the minutes.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
I abstain.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
That was fun.